Welcome to the fifth and last module of vocabulary. The objectives for this week are to incorporate word consciousness into your classroom, making kids aware of words, discover what multimedia resources are available to you, and let you know what is the value of read aloud. In schools today, most students are word readers, but they lack the vocabulary they need to comprehend things. They're reading it but not understanding it. This is not just the case with ELL. It is a common problem for all students. Students need to be guided in developing the ability to make use of the internet and multimedia technology to increase critical literacy skills. The saying, "practice makes perfect," applies here as well. Students who do not like to read may find that multimedia can capture their attention, engage them in learning, and make practice really happen. Multimedia enhances learning experiences and makes it easier and faster to grasp information since the information is presented in various forms. Technology tools bring benefits to the classroom. Learners found multimedia useful when it exposes them to authentic language, improved their pronunciation and knowledge of various language functions, and also enriched their vocabulary. Building word consciousness is a powerful and addictive and fun if you want it to be. It is also an effective tool for building vocabulary. For more advanced language users, we can help them become more aware of and interested in the words they hear as they move through their daily lives. We can build a culture in which values paying attention to the new words and developing a curiosity about what they mean and how they're used, not just skip over them. Teachers who share their love for words and who provide engaging opportunities to interact with words across the content on a daily basis will ignite this word learning passion in their students. Teachers need to keep words visible in the classroom. This is some of the bulletin boards I've seen in the area. These types of vocabulary increase when students' reading text complexity increases as well. According to Scott and Nagy, word consciousness is essential for vocabulary growth and comprehending the language of schooling. Students who have word consciousness exemplify these characteristics. They understand the nuances of words, they value words, they know the difference between social and academic language, they understand the power of word choice, they're motivated to learn the meaning of unfamiliar words rather than skip them. Word consciousness is important because vocabulary knowledge is generative. That is, that it transfers to and enhances students' learning of other words. Discovering where words come from is a great way to do it. If you can see here, some people estimate that 75% of the English language is derived from Greek and Latin roots. They're truly the building blocks of English. Here you see the etymology of dead ringer. We know it as where someone is similar to someone else. It originally came from that people were buried with a bell attached to their finger so that if they really weren't dead, they could wake up and ring the bell. And then graveyard shift, which is usually a late night shift, and which usually is the last shift of that work, actually came from the person who was roaming the graveyard listening for bells. Kids love learning facts like this. We can also teach them all about word games and commercial games that are out there. If you don't know what any of these are, please let me know, and I'll be glad to send you some information and resources to teach them. This is another great resource. It comes from Quizlet. It's a free thing. You can get flashcards and games and things to go with it. It is free. There is a paid portion of it, but you can use this and it still works well without paying for anything. Increased volume of digital reading also helps because the kids love it. These are just some of them. ReadWorks now has an article a day where they give 5 or 6 articles on a specific subject. There are no questions or anything with it, but what the intent is for the student to gain vocabulary and then retell to you what they're learning. These will be included in the digital resources on the web. We can also do a lot of realia to match the vocabulary to the words. Menus, weather reports, hotel pamphlets, maps, train, subway, bus timetables, movie, concert schedules, wand ads, property ads, family trees, car rental brochures. All these forms of realia offer vocabulary in the real world. Studies of high school seniors allow us to project an ever-widening gap as children pass through school. Here you can see that in kindergarten their gap was only 4,500 words. Now take a look at the gap at 12th grade. The Matthew effect is a cumulative advantage describing the sociology. It is a phenomenon that's sometimes summarized by the adage of the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Although this is literacy itself, vocabulary is a large portion of this. Oral vocabulary is often associated with vocabulary as the main component. However, in the broadest definition, oral vocabulary consists of phonology, grammar, morphology, vocabulary, discourse, and pragmatics. The common misconception regarding vocabulary is the idea that an individual's vocabulary can be measured simply by the sheer number of words he or she can understand and use. This is the breadth of vocabulary knowledge. However, to measure the depth of vocabulary knowledge, a broader definition includes a focus on areas such as multiple meaning of the words, shades of meaning, figurative language, the relationship between words. All of those go into really understanding vocabulary. Mintzmiller's main approach to ensuring that these words are taught is in read-alouds. He also encourages the use of 3 root words a day, teaching kids to up their vocabulary. His math is based on the fact of about 140 days of school and are probably not going to permit business as usual since other demands will be present. May seem like a lot, but even if we take it at a smaller amount, we're going to be adding to students' vocabularies. Beck and McKeon describe the levels of context. These range from extremely useful to downright misleading. By the way, I connected these examples from relative rare words so that adults could better appreciate the power of context or the lack of it. Without the understanding that number 1's word is quiet, tending not to speak. The second one, if you figured out that it's another word for chicken pox. Third one is a color, brownish gray. And fourth one is agile or dexterous. We probably got some of that meaning by just the context. Read-alouds is a common practice in primary classroom and is viewed as an important vehicle for vocabulary development. Read-alouds should also be used in the upper grades. They are a complex instructional interaction in which the teacher chooses text, identifies words for instruction, and selects the appropriate strategies to facilitate word reading. The importance of vocabulary to comprehension is widely documented. We introduce and talk about new words. Reading aloud and facilitating text-based discussions about words provides context and opportunity for children to learn new words before they have the reading skills necessary to acquire language independently. Like if you're reading the grouchy ladybug in kindergarten, the word grouchy would have to be taught explicitly and defined and discussed before reading the book if you want students to truly comprehend what you're reading about. Interactive read-alouds are also important for young children as a framework for expanding both oral language and vocabulary development in children. It also helps them with fluency. What is it? Read-alouds should be carefully planned, systematic text selection, engaging, interactive, meaningful, reading for different purpose every time. And yes, that can be for enjoyment, but we can also teach the vocabulary within it. It includes pre-planned questions and tasks. What it's not is grabbing a book off the shelf, rocking chair reading one by one. It's not broken record reading. We're going to use fluency. And it's not thinking up some questions at the end that don't help students because they didn't have a purpose in the first place to read. Teachers should consider these factors when reading nonfiction or informational text. The narrative factors are on the next page. The importance of vocabulary reading achievement is well documented in the literature. Vocabulary has been identified as a critical factor in building proficiency in reading, and limited vocabulary knowledge is viewed as a contributing factor for struggling readers of all ages. This study also demonstrated the need for teachers to be mindful of the effectiveness of their instruction. Teachers need to be prepared with simple definitions and to intervene when needed to avoid confusion or misunderstanding. To ensure effective teaching and learning, teachers should engage in ongoing reflection and evaluation. Remember that children's listening vocabulary is typically 2 grade levels above their reading level. So we should not dumb down our read-alouds to the lowest vocabulary reader in the classroom. Keep up the intensity and use books with great vocabulary. This means if you're a kindergarten teacher, you could be reading books that have vocabulary words for a 2nd grade student because they hear the words. If you've taught them what they are, they understand the words, and then later in the future when they get to those words, they will have a better understanding. Now when you complete this course, if you have any questions about the PowerPoint, please get with me. Soon as everything is completed, I will turn the information into Amanda Hanson, who will then put the credit onto your Cactus account. Thank you for taking the course.